This show is a member of the Planetside Podcast Network. To learn more, go to planetsidepodcasts.com.
Welcome to I Shouldn't Have to Say This, the podcast where we discuss topics we believe requires critical and nuanced thinking. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at saythiscast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter at saythiscast, and go to saythiscast.com if you want to hear previous episodes. Hey, party podcast people. Welcome to the anniversary episode. As in the second one, because there are two now. Because we're at the end of our second season.
Woo! Year 2 is over. Hey, you remember last year what I did? I put in a yay right here. I'm going to do it again. Okay, I did it.
I'm proud of you. So last year we started a tradition that we will be breaking this year, and that was to reflect on our previous episodes and talk about where we thought that we were wrong. But in season 2 we leveled the fuck up and we've been spitting straight fucking fire for the entire season.
Yeah,
I agree with all of my takes. They've been amazing, flawless, incredible. I picked out a few episodes that I like and I wanted to talk about. And by like, I mean I like the topic and I have probably more to say about them. I want to reflect on what they meant to me. And then maybe we'll talk a little bit about how this here Panzinella salad has affected our politics. And by Panzinella salad, I do mean COVID-19, in case you don't
Panzinella salad.
Panzinella salad. I think it's a good
Panzinella salad. I'm sorry. That's my bad. I
It's
apologize. Okay. Panzinella salad?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's the episode.
It's a Panzinella salad. Goodbye.
Theme music. So
Yeah.
So what did you want to start with?
I wanted to start with an episode that is near and dear to my heart, which is our episode called Kink, not Kink.
Wow.
Ki-
Wow.
Kick Stomper.
Wow.
Not Kink Stomper. Kink is okay. You're valid unless you have a race kink, in which case you're a weirdo.
Kink Stomper. That's like really specific, honestly.
Yeah, it also sounds like they'd probably enjoy it.
Oh my god. You're off to a great start.
Fantastic. Also, for
Kickstarter
your
is
knowledge,
actually-
I don't think we even said our names. I'm Nicole. That's Janra. Also,
Yo.
I have a migraine.
Yeah.
So that's what
Yeah.
we're working with today.
Yeah, she has a full blown migraine. I am valiantly pushing mine back to the back of my head. So let's go. Kickstopper actually was I believe the first
Episode
YouTube video
that you put on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah. It was and I think it was a really interesting one. So what did you want to talk about that?
Well, since then, a game called Boyfriend Dungeon came out, and we will not be talking about any of the discourse surrounding that.
Oh god.
Very fucked up situation.
I don't even know what it is and I don't want to know.
You don't. Anyways, that game came out and it has 2 dungeons.
What?
It has 2 dungeons. Boyfriend Dungeon has 2 dungeons. I think the first one is 10 floors and the second one is like 15 floors.
Okay.
And it had stretch goals that are planned updates now because they didn't finish that shit in time. And I would just like to say, as per what I said before about straight fire, this is that shit that I be fucking talking about with Kickstarters. If I had to venture a guess, an educated guess about what happened there, they probably ran out of money or just decided to ship so they could. I mean, they probably ran out of money and shipped so they could use the proceeds in order to fund adding those two. But also, it seems like there's a lot of game that's not there. That's probably never gonna get added? Question mark?
Oh no.
Like 2 dungeons?
Yeah, there is no context there. Is like, is that a lot? Is that a little?
It's a little. So it's a dungeon crawler dating sim. And it's
Sure, why not?
kind of short. And also there are 2 dungeons. It seems like 3 is like, for a little indie title, 3 might be good. 2 is a weird number. 2 feels like you ran out of funds or time or both.
Yeah.
So just getting that off my chest. Hell yeah, I was right, and that's important to me. So I'm just gonna say again, fuck Kickstarter. You know, if you want to back things on Kickstarter, that's fine. But you really have absolutely no promise that you're going to get the product that you backed.
Or your money back.
I mean, yeah, but even if it comes out, sometimes the product that you get is not as advertised.
That's
and
right.
that bothers the shit out of me. And it bothers the shit out of me that Boyfriend Dungeon came out in this state. I mean, that's the true discourse. Everybody was discussing that, and I was just kind of like, the game is a little bit unfinished. That's the true take. Anyways, I'm the Chad, the Sigma gamer who didn't take either side, but instead took the third side, which was this game seems a little bit fucked up, and if the writing was more competent, then we wouldn't have as much of a problem anyways. Continuing on to the next episode.
Let's leave Kickstarter and go on to the next episode, which is the insult one.
Yeah, insults. So I wanted to choose at least one topic where I feel slightly shaky. Not to say that I disagree with anything that I said, but where I'm open to one day changing my mind, and also I think that people could very competently argue against me. I'm not going to change my mind on it, but like I would have to say that's a decent argument. And if I were a different person, if I were built different, you might say, I would have to agree. The take that I gave in that episode was that I like insulting people. That I think that there's utility in insulting people, particularly their intelligence. Like I'm saying dumb, stupid, those types of words. I think there's utility in using those words that is important to me because I like being mean. And also that I think that being intelligent is good and a actual benefit to society. And so to say that somebody is not intelligent is a specific insult. However, I'm obviously vulnerable on that topic because I don't say crazy that much anymore. Because crazy is an ableist insult, and I prefer to say wild or out of pocket or, irrational, or just speak more specifically towards the thing that I'm observing. And yet, I do think that I like the shorthand of stupid or dumb or things like that. But obviously, that's me drawing a line that can be moved around. It's wibbly wobbly. So if someone were to make a really, really like A1 argument for never calling anybody stupid ever again, even if it's fun to me, I might stop. But I don't feel comfortable making that line necessarily, as I'm not part of those communities. But also, when people pretend like there is a consensus in those communities about this type of thing, I think it really feels like they're lying, because there are a lot of people who don't feel the same about words like stupid or idiot or dumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah, words are, especially insults, are very situational. I think that was part of it. Like you use insults in different ways in different communities and with different people, just like any other word. The context of the use of the word, especially in English, the context of the word is incredibly important. So a blanket statement of this can never be used ever at all by anybody is a little much, I think.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Also, this seems like a natural place for me to talk about another little evolution. I thought that it might be good to sprinkle these in throughout the episode. But
Ooh, sprinkles.
I've had a little evolution on the idea of like logical consistency. So online on the left currently, it's really popular to be perfectly logically consistent on absolutely everything and to follow every idea all the way to its logical conclusion. And I hate it, and I think that it's probably stupid. And the reason why I feel that way is because there are a lot of things that are neither here nor there in the world. Logical consistency is probably a good thing most of the time. However, I think that sometimes it can become an impediment to good and moral thinking. For example, there are a lot of people who have looked at the situation where Hassan Piker bought his home and looked at people who are saying like, yeah, I don't care. And they're saying, well, if you don't care when like a multimillionaire buys a multi-million-dollar home, then what you're essentially saying is that excess is okay. And if excess is okay, then why are you against billionaires buying billion-dollar mansions or whatever? And that really bugs me because there's a difference. And I don't think that I could logically lay out the difference between in like the general feeling we have about like what excess means. That's going to be a line that's different to everybody, but everybody knows that there's a difference between a way somebody with a few $1,000,000 spends money and the way that somebody with $1 billion plus spends money, you know?
Right.
And when we pretend like you have to follow every single line of reasoning all the way to this logical conclusion, it's like you take away power from the way that these two things are really obviously not the same.
Yeah.
And so I've become a lot more permissive of saying I believe in this thing to a point. Like prison abolition, for me, I believe in freeing as many people as possible, as few people in jail as possible. However, I am never going to be one of those abolitionist types who doesn't discuss the fact that there are going to be exceptions to that rule and that they should probably be a jail that's not like anywhere near as inhumane as we treat people currently, for the record. But
Right.
we do need to be able to detain people away from society who are willingly, unapologetically, and happily doing harm unto others within a society. Because those people exist. Are
Mm-hmm.
they prevalent? Absolutely not. However, in order to have a position and to be able to have these conversations, we have to be able to say, I believe in abolition, but there's this exception, and it doesn't change anything else that I've said.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, we're humans. We're messy. We have messy thoughts, and it is impossible for a creature that thinks through the lens of its own experience and emotions to be completely consistent with everything all the time to its logical conclusion, because we are not primarily logical creatures.
Yeah.
And to expect that is insane. Sorry.
Yeah. Also, I thought about this other one where this guy was like, if you eat meat, what's the fundamental difference between eating meat and bestiality, morally speaking? And for me,
Wow.
And for me, logically, I think that you could probably make an argument that those are closer together than I would comfortably like them to be, particularly within a society where we eat meat that's produced through factory farming
Mm-hmm.
because of all of the unconsensual impregnation that happens. However, I think that we all kind of know that these two things are different, and there's probably some sort of philosophical line that I could go down, and I know that that's dangerous. Like, I'm saying logical inconsistency is okay, and I understand why leftists go so hard the other direction, because people not being logically inconsistent is just literally the Republican Party. It's conservatism, it's fascism, it's an embracing of the completely and totally unapologetically irrational. But the point is that I am apologetic about the fact that I'm irrational. It's that I have to honor the fact that I'm a fucking human being sometimes and
See,
understand that, like, I can believe things to a point, but then not to their ultimate point, because we exist in kind of a wibbly wobbly space between these two things.
see, I wouldn't use the word apologetic for that, because I'm not going to apologize for that, because that's how I am. It's how our brains work, and the thing to be apologetic about is using that using the fact that we aren't consistent, and we can't be consistent completely and utterly, to do harm to other people, or to just push through like policies that harm other people. You
Yeah.
know, it's if you think that uh if you think that my spending money on things that don't benefit society completely, even though I want a better society, if you think that is logically inconsistent, well, guess what? You're right.
Yeah.
I've bought things that help me cope with stuff, or that just make me happy specifically. And there are probably people that say, well, if you believe this, then you should just be donating all of your excess cash. And no. And I'm not going to apologize for that, you know? But
That's a
someone, what's saying?
Oh, I said that's a good point.
Yeah, this is me. And uh I accept I accept myself with my flaws and my inconsistencies and my emotions, or the lack of emotions, and whatever.
Yeah.
And if someone calls me out on being inconsistent, and this is why in general I don't really respect like the whole like, oh, you're a flopper, like if someone's running for office or something, without actually investigating like what opinions changed over what course of time, because people change. Our lives are our change. We evolve. We learn. And if we didn't do that, if we were logically consistent, that would be static,
I
which
really
is
wanted to get
bad.
high during that. I was like, wow, that would hit different if I were high.
What?
Listeners, if you're high, that would be really fun. No, like when you're like reasoning through that, I was like, wow. I'd be like, wow, yeah, 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 yeah. like it was interesting.
Yeah,
I'd be
fuck
like,
yeah,
yeah, fuck yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I'm not apologizing.
fucking
Yeah,
go.
we're different. Life has changed. If we didn't change it, that would be static. Yeah, bro. Like,
Are you saying that I constantly have stoner thoughts? Is that what it is?
that was a stoner thought.
That
You
was-
don't constantly have those.
I just live my life by these tenets. Oh, but it's it's what you'd come up if you were high. Cool.
The way that you said it was funny as fuck, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, I'm not gonna argue against that.
I really liked it, and you're right, and it was eloquent. However, I'm here to razz you.
Oh, I mean, that is logically consistent.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, the the main point is that I think that is like when I view our show, that is something that I consider a lot. Just the opinions and the points that we put out there to whoever wants to listen at any time. We aren't trying to set a line in the sand, or a bright red line. If you cross this, then you're horrible people. It's what we think about the world and how we think
No.
about it.
Yeah, if sometimes I am saying that you're a terrible person if you don't do this thing. However, I think that we should be more in tune with like following the spirit of our prescriptions rather than being like dogmatically like attached to the idea of like laying out every single point that you have to bite the bullet on in order to reach a met conclusion. Sometimes that's good.
Right.
It's like that's academically rigorous. And if you want to do that, you should do that. But also sometimes things are like not that simple. Or in order to understand the full nuance of the situation, you have to make certain allowances. Just because when I talk about this, I often like to say, in theory, there's such a thing as a frictionless surface where you could roll something infinitely.
Mm-hmm.
And that has never been done in real life. Everything has a certain amount of friction when you move one thing across another. A true frictionless surface is not a thing. Because the world is fucking weird.
Yeah.
Theoretical ideas don't translate perfectly to the real world, even if the theory is completely rock solid. I had a sex joke and I'm not going to tell it. Rock solid, like my dick.
There it is. There it is. That's the content that the people come to see.
I apologize.
Hear, whatever.
I do apologize.
Okay.
That was an intrusive thought, and I said it out loud. And I knew that it wasn't funny. But
I mean, I think it's funny, but I'm weird.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah. Just even if the theory is solid, it transfers imperfectly into the real world, and that's fucking okay.
People aren't equations.
Yeah, and it's probably better that we all set out with the intention of like needing to modify things or say like, that's not actually true or this or that, because there's a lot of variation that happens, and it's hard to set out a hard line for a lot of things. So that's something.
This is something that I've actually, like, over the past year, like, that I've actually been thinking a lot about, not just the inconsistencies, but like when you're listening to someone's ideas, how charitable are you? Like, how much are you going to put credence into listening to them? How much investigation do I put in, like, after I listen to them? And honestly, like, how do I present my ideas that I want or ideas that I think are possible?
Mhm.
You've talked about the how you aren't really comfortable calling yourself just a straight up leftist or a socialist or the many different labels. Like, there has been an evolution. Like, for me, I've never really thought about calling myself a leftist. I always felt like that was like that didn't apply to me, because when I think about policy and everything, I don't really have a whole system like in my head that I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to think about the system that we have and the system that I want, but I don't think that we're going to get what I want, so I'm trying to think about what we have and making it better.
Yeah.
And that kind of thinking is short term. And you do need to have dreams to aspire to. But especially over the last year and what we've had to deal with and what we've all been through, I've tempered my expectations a lot.
I've been also thinking, like as you said, I've been trying to move away from from being like a super lefty.
Yeah.
And that's mostly because I've kind of given up on the idea that whatever I want is going to happen in my lifetime. And that I know that that sounds pretty depressing, but that frees me to focus on what is able to be accomplished now. And
See,
that's
yeah, it's
and
freeing.
that's
Yeah.
more important, honestly. For me, I think this sounds a lot like incrementalism. However, it's not exactly. I think that in order for people to dream big, that they need to not feel like they are about to fall through the fucking crust of the earth.
Yeah.
When people are feeling hard up, they tend to become more conservative, not go in a completely new and untested direction. And so for me, what I've decided is it doesn't mean anything meaningful to be a socialist in the United States right now. What's meaningful is to be progressive, to be interested in certain policies which lead to um, more democratic options for people and the right to self-determination for as many people as possible, um, and in favor of maximizing my goals in the short term of creating a situation where people feel like they can practice self-determination and think about what kind of society they want to live in.
Creating a bedrock.
Yeah, I've decided to
Yeah.
focus more on how do we get people to start thinking about themselves as being part of a society that's worth investing in. How do we get people to stop thinking about capitalism as everything that works and socialism as everything that doesn't work? And how do we get people to stop associating these things so hard that they don't even consider like what's functional right now? What would happen? What's politically viable? How do we move this forward? And moving towards um achievable results. And that's the most important thing for me, and that's always been my goal,
Mm.
frankly.
Yeah.
But in 2020, I started feeling very alienated from other lefties because we don't agree on anything. We're not a significant voter bloc, and even if we were, we'd split right down the center every single fucking time. It's important for me to be more specific about who my allies are. I'm for the people who are not tankies, anti-authoritarian, for the right to self-determination, who want everybody to have money, not just to strip people of the power that they have, but to empower others. And also, I remembered a quote that really is going to start underpinning my politics for a long time to go. And you can tell me if you agree with this one. So,
Okay.
Martin Luther King, I know this is going to sound basic, but it's not. One of the most insightful things that Martin Luther King ever said was that power was necessary in order to enact the political interests of the disenfranchised. That you needed to be ambitious enough to go after power and then to use it with love in order to empower others. However, on the flip side, power in the absence of love was cruel and pointless and self-destructive. And I agree. I think that there are a lot of people who are interested in empowering the disempowered who have no interest in power. However, we need power to do things. We also need to always center love. And those who are powerful right now obviously don't. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try and get every scrap of power we can so we can do good things for people who need it.
I think that is a good way of thinking about it. And that actually, before we stop, I was trying to think of how do I describe myself if I don't feel comfortable calling myself a leftist or something. And I always come back to a word that has a negative connotation. I always think of myself as a realist. I have dreams and I have goals. But my primary focus is looking at the resources I have at hand and trying to work with those. And so, I don't know if it makes sense, but a progressive realist. But that kind of, I feel like that kind of fits in what you were saying. Like you need power to make change. You need power to make things better, but you need that tempered and through the lens of love.
Power needs a purpose.
A positive purpose.
A positive purpose.
That's right.
Power for the sake of power is awful.
Yeah.
But
power
also,
for the sake of power is inherently destructive.
I think that people on the left need to be more fucking ambitious, and it's my intention in the next year to be more personally ambitious and to seek out and take power where I can and do the best I can with it. So, yeah, that kind of underpins my transformation for the year.
I think that's a good way to go out. Wait.
Yeah.
No, that's a bad way of putting it. I think that's a good way to end the episode.
To continue forward with the podcast, which will be continuing.
Oh, definitely. That is yes. We have power, like our moderate amount of power on our platform. We have people that actually listen to us, and we are trying our best to live up to the standards that we set for ourselves, meaning using the platform that we have and the reach that we have to try to affect positive change in the world, or at least trigger something. And that's why we do this. Usually right now, we say something about our Patreon and about our coffee and everything, but it's the end of the year, and it's a time to look back and to look forward. And we have a lot of people to thank.
Yeah. So, first of all, we'd like to thank all of our listeners, just generally speaking, because you listen to us, and that's important to the show and to my ego. So thank you for that. Second of all, a very special thank you to our patrons and for the people who have bought us coffees. We appreciate it greatly. You're the ones who've made it possible for us to have a website and to buy better equipment and to just continue to feel like we're pushing this show in a good direction. So we really appreciate you.
It's because of you that we can have a YouTube channel.
True. Speaking of YouTube, we were recently featured on the Surfs during an ad break, I believe, if I understand correctly. And we got a bunch of people who came to the YouTube. If you're one of those people, thank you. And also a really big thank you to Lance and the Surfs. There are a lot of people who talk about Lefty unity and such. And I know that I just shit on a bunch of lefties and talked about how I want to be more specific about who I associate with. And that's true. But also, I still have solidarity with a lot of lefties, especially with the Surfs community. I've been aware of them for a long time, watched their content, and Lance and his community really do come out and support smaller content creators, and that's important to the growing group of people trying to do this work, and obviously to us. So thanks.
Yeah. Thanks to the Surfs community. Thank you to all of our listeners and our patrons. And I also want to thank everybody that has subscribed to the YouTube channel and that has supported our content there as well. It's been kind of a dream of mine to put this on YouTube, so it's really great that has been able to come to fruition. So,
and Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year. All right, so we want to talk about things that are happy now, things that make us happy, things that give us the ability to push forward into what is obviously a very
weird year.
weird world. A very interesting world. So, Nicole, what is making you happy on this, our second anniversary?
So on Twitter, I saw a little post, and I don't know if this is real or not, but it makes me really happy. And it says Snoop Dogg muted himself on Twitch 3 streams ago and still hasn't noticed. No one can hear what Snoop Dogg is saying on Twitch, and either he doesn't know or he doesn't care. And I just really fucking love that so much.
Is that true?
I have no idea. It's a screenshot,
It doesn't
so it could
matter.
be totally fake, but it doesn't matter because it's real in the hearts and minds of me. And that's what's giving me the power to go forward. Also, The World Ends With You, Neo, is real good. I'm finally sinking into it. It took me a little while, but it's very fun. I do enjoy it, and it's
What is it?
oh god, it's a Switch game. If you ever really want so there's a
It's
cult
like a
classic
Matrix
game.
thing.
No, there's a cult classic game called The World Ends With You, which came out on the DS a long time ago.
The DS? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And it was a really weird game, and it used both screens, and it was just like it was the weirdest shit in the world. But it was really fun, and I bought it at the right time as a edgy little kid. And it was a very wholesome story about a teenager becoming less of a fucking shithead over time, and I really enjoyed it. And this is a sequel to that game.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, don't ever buy The World Ends With You on Switch. The control scheme is straight ass. But then again, the control scheme in the original The World Ends With You has always been ass on every platform. But it's most tolerable probably on iPhone or mobile, I guess. So yeah.
Wow.
Also, my headache has abated.
Oh, that's great.
A little bit. It's starting to come back. It's threatening. But anyways.
It'll come back. But
all
that's
of
good.
all of that makes me
I have
happy.
the
What's
storm.
making you happy, John? Are you going to talk about Destiny?
No, actually.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Yeah, I know. Because the next
And it looks
expansion
good,
is coming
doesn't it?
out. It looks I'm hoping
Okay,
that
never
it's
mind.
good.
Never mind.
Look what
Holy
you've done.
shit, okay.
I wasn't
Never
even
mind.
going to talk about
Never
it.
mind,
and now
never mind.
you're-
What were you going to say? What were you going to say?
Now I'm going to talk about Destiny for the
Fuck.
next 50 hours. Good job. Listeners, thank Nicole. No, I'm just kidding. There's something actually more important than Destiny that's happening.
Wow.
And it has to do with Kickstarter. So, Nicole, have you ever watched the TV show Avatar: The Last Airbender?
All right, the board game. Yeah.
No, not a board game. The role-playing game.
Grumble, grumble, grumble.
The tabletop role-playing game. So there is a Kickstarter running. By the time this comes out, I believe it'll still be going. It is a role-playing game by this company called Magpie Games. They've had a few Kickstarters that have been funded successfully and have come out with great approval. So I was okay funding this, but the show Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of my favorite shows, just in general. It's a wonderful show. It has an amazing story, amazing voice acting, cast, animation, fight choreography. Just, I can't say more good things about it. And this company, Magpie, is making a role-playing game, like a tabletop role-playing game. And it's going to be very simple. It's going to be based on a system of that. It's not based on like D20, like Dungeons and Dragons. It's based on a collaborative type storytelling. So everybody has input on the story, and there is someone that sets the scene, everything, but everybody has a hand in the story that they're crafting, which I think is really awesome. And so it's coming out in February. There's the Kickstarter they were asking for $50,000 to fund the game. At recording right now, they're at 6.7 million, which is crazy. But the game looks amazing. And the biggest thing for me, and I know this is a big setup, but I haven't been able to play a role-playing game in a very long time. If you listen to the last episode, you know that I'm disabled. I get tired incredibly quickly, exhausted, mentally exhausted from things. So role-playing, especially D&D, with a lot of charts and numbers and rolling and very intense role-playing is exhausting. I can't do it. This system looks perfect for me. So much, in fact, that I am planning on running a game with some of my friends. GMing is something that I've always really liked, something I can't really do a lot. So this looks great, and plus the amount of time I've watched and read and everything about the Avatar universe, I'm able to just think about this world that I want to create, and it's real. I'm really excited about it. I have all these ideas for stories that can be told in different eras or within different eras, and it's going to be, I'm hoping that people have fun with it, basically. So I am trying to learn an entirely new system from scratch to then try to teach it to other people, and then hopefully we can have a long-running campaign starting in February. So that's what's making me happy. I've already written like 3 pages of background for what I'm doing. So yeah, that's what's making me joyful right now, Nicole.
I was watching something on Twitter that disturbed my soul, but this is the happy segment, so I'll wait till we stop recording. Thanks, everyone. Love you so much. Bye. Happy New Year.
Thanks,
Have some
everybody, for listening. Thanks.
XOXO Gossip Girl. I don't know.
Oh my god. Let's end on a yay. Yay! Anyway, thank you everybody for listening to I Shouldn't Have to Say This. We really enjoy putting out this show. We really enjoy hopefully using the power that we have, like we said, to make positive change in the world. And we really love being able to share what makes us happy in the second part of the show. That's always something that I look forward to as well. So thank you everybody for listening. We put our shows out every 2 weeks, so go to saythiscast.com if you are interested in listening to the episodes as they come out. If you want to watch them on YouTube, then you can go to YouTube, just look for I Shouldn't Have to Say This, or go to saythiscast.com and click on the link. We put those episodes out every 2 weeks, the week after the audio version comes out. If you are watching on YouTube, thank you so much too, and leave a like and subscribe and hit the bell and the whatnot. I don't know, man. Anyway, Nicole, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Jack of3Trades. That's 3 is in the number. And nowhere else. Don't look.
You can find me online at Press Start Lock and on Twitter. Nowhere else. All of the music on our show is by Mustin. If you want to know more about his work, go to store.mustenenterprises.com. That's MUSTIN. I Shouldn't Have to Say This is a member of the Planetside Podcast Network. If you want to learn more, then go to planetsidepodcasts.com. Happy New Year, or happy next year. I don't know.
Champagne.
Champagne everywhere. Wait, what? Ew. I Shouldn't Have to Say This, ending year 2 classy.